There is nothing more serious than climate in today's world. According to the reality that you just seen on screen, we not even have 10 years.
That's the number one enemy we're going to have right now, forget tomorrow. It's here today.
In the coming years, we need to solve the climate crisis. And this is our top priority.
Will our children be able to enjoy such calm and colorful day when they grow up?
You folks are in the middle of national security dilemmas. Climate change.
Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. Dear participants of the ALLATRA International Public Movement and our partner project, Creative Society. Dear friends, it is with great excitement and joy that I welcome you all to this momentous event that has brought us together as a single whole in an effort to create a secure future free from the threat of a global climate crisis. We have gathered here, united by a common mission, collective action, and hope that our joint efforts will illuminate the way to a more stable and prosperous future. We are different people, but we are united by a common goal. We have come from different countries, but we share the same home, our planet. And everyone in this hall knows this more than anyone else. The entire long journey we have traveled has only been possible because of the resilience, courage, and commitment that each and every one of you has shown and continues to show every day. Thank you for your sincerity and dedication to our common cause. Today, we are finally together in the heart of Europe, in the beautiful city of Prague. It is my great pleasure to give the floor to Marina Ovtsinova, President of the ALLATRA International Public Movement, our distinguished speaker and dear friend from Atlanta, the United States.
It's a great, great joy to be here with you today and to see all of you, participants of ALLATRA movement and the Creative Society project, who have come from every corner of the globe to this beautiful location in Prague. On behalf of the entire movement, I would like to thank ALLATRA participants from the Czech Republic for hosting this wonderful event. Thank you for inviting us all here to the capital of Czech Republic, to this marvelous hall. Thank you for your hospitality and for all your efforts and care. I also want to thank each and every one of you present here today. And despite the fact that only a small part of all the movement's participants have gathered here today, there is a strong sense of global international unity with which ALLATRA unites millions of people around the world. And this unity is rooted in a shared goal and common aspiration to ensure a safe, sustainable, prosperous world for present and the future generations of humanity. We are all aware that ALLATRA unites us not only in a common goal, but also in a friendship, sincerity, mutual care and support. Most importantly, it connects us through our innate humanity, which is the foundation of the cohesion of ALLATRA participants. And you know, friends, we are united by another essential quality. Let me illustrate this quality with a small example. Today, as I walk through the street of Prague, I notice how beautiful, calm, and warm this May Day is. The chestnuts and lilac are in full bloom. The air is infused with their scents, and the colors around are vibrant with freshness. Beautiful, right? You saw it too. I want to breathe it deeply, the beauty and tranquility of this warm day. But something prevents you from doing so fully. As you look at this idyllic scene, an anxious question involuntarily arises in your mind. How many more such calm, beautiful May days are left for our humanity? Will our children be able to enjoy such calm and colorful day when they grow up? This question does not arise from paranoia or superstition, but from the fact and awareness of the exponential increase of frequency and intensity of destructive climate catastrophes across our planet. We, the participants of ALLATRA, are united in that we are not afraid to ask such a question concerning the future of humanity and its global security. We boldly raise these issues publicly. We are fearless in acknowledging and stating the reality of today, which signals a catastrophic intensification of the global climate crisis. It's heartbreaking to realize how many climate tragedies are unfolding right at this very moment. Even the most beautiful warm May day is still overshadowed by tragedy because we know how much sorrow and suffering climate catastrophe brings to different parts of our planet on the very same day. And we are united in the understanding that this climate catastrophe will sooner or later occur in the place where we, our families, and our children are. And this motivates us to take action immediately. We are united in the knowledge that addressing the global critical climate crisis requires bringing together the best scientists of the world at one table, and we understand that achieving this is only possible through raising awareness of this issue on an international scale. We are committed to drawing the global community's attention to this issue of climate change, precisely because we understand that this issue could take away our future very soon. To prevent this, we are taking action. We act with a purpose. Our goal is for our children to one day walk the street of Prague or any other city, perhaps hand in hand with their own children. We envision the future where they can truly enjoy the same bright May days. The scent of lilac and chestnut, all without feeling internal anxiety, to have beautiful, stable future, a future that we have ensured for them. We act to make such a peaceful, bright days a reality for all humanity, for the inhabitants of our entire planet, in every corner. ALLATRA International Public Movement expresses solidarity and support for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. These goals represent a global call to action for all states and nations to enhance humanity's well-being and ensure the protection of our planet. ALLATRA volunteers are those who practically implement the United Nations Sustainable Development Program. And today, when we talk about the participants of ALLATRA International Public Movement, we are speaking of millions of people whose voices have echoed and continue to echo vital information, truth, for many, many years. These are millions of fearless hearts whose highest value are freedom and democracy. These are the millions of steps we have taken together towards a better future for every person on earth. But unfortunately, our journey has not been easy. Over the past 10 years, we have regularly faced slanders and misinformation aimed at us. We have been labeled and falsely accused of action we never committed. We have been humiliated, ridiculed, and subjected to fabricated criminal charges. Participants from some countries have faced brutal persecution and harassment, unfortunately. As a result of this persecution, some participants who we would very much like to have with us today are still unable to be here. In some nations, the activities of ALLATRA have been legally restricted, preventing residents from accessing vital information about the climate. Scientists there have had to stop their valuable work and cannot participate in the necessary climate research. Why? We often ask this question ourselves. Why does such an injustice occur? In every country, we operate strictly within the law, harming no one and infringing on no one's rights. All we do is striving as human beings to uphold and protect our right to life. There were many questions, and this April, we finally received the long-awaited answer. This was made possible thanks to an investigation, the result of which were announced by respected expert in intelligence and national security, Dr. Egan Chalakian. It is a great joy and honor for us that Dr. Chalakian is here with us today. Thank you for revealing the key findings of investigation meticulously carried out over the last 30 years. Thanks to this investigation, we now understand the force behind the persecution and oppression of the participants of ALLATRA International Public Movement. We have learned how deeply this force has infiltrated all spheres of our society, intending to destroy democracy worldwide and establish its totalitarian regime. Thank you, Dr. Chalakian, for bravely defending the interests of both ALLATRA participants and democracy and freedom at large in this world. And now I want to wholeheartedly thank you, dear participants of the ALLATRA movement. On this challenging journey, you have proven to be stronger above all the slander and persecution. But we do not give up, and we, ALLATRA, will not stop for a moment. We have no doubt that truth will prevail. Already we see it starting to resonate louder and clear thanks to the action of each one of us. And we know that for now, forces opposes us and will continue to try for some time. But we also know that they have been exposed. And it is only a matter of time before they are held accountable for their action. We, ALLATRA participants, will not remain silent either. We will assist with the investigation and the legal proceedings because we have been persecuted for 10 years. And some of us continue to face persecution and harassments today. It is our duty to ensure that humanity learns the truth. And we will speak the truth so the whole world will know that. Because we are ALLATRA, we have always stood and we will continue to stand for the future of humanity, for freedom and democracy. Thank you very much.
We have a unique opportunity today to welcome the esteemed Egon Cholakian. Dr. Cholakian's work with four sitting US presidents, including Nixon, Ford, Carter, and Reagan, as well as his contributions to President Reagan's Strategic Defense Initiative and White House consultations, underscore Dr. Cholakian's importance and influence at the highest level of government policy. As an active member of the International Association for Intelligence Education and the US Geospatial Intelligence Foundation, Dr. Cholakian has made an invaluable contribution to the development of open source intelligence. Currently, Dr. Cholakian is channeling his extensive and rich multi-year experience as an intelligence trainer and international worker to defend the good name of the participants of ALLATRA International Public Movement. Please join me in extending a warm and a respectful welcome to Dr. Cholakian. Dr. Cholakian, we are delighted to see you.
Everybody, thank you very much for the invitation to attend and participate and contribute. I'm not going to give the traditional speech. We are in conflict right now. Let's talk on that level. All the great minds in this room, they're intelligent, way above average. When we started doing research and investigation of what precisely is going on with your situation, people were bringing to my attention the actors, always the actors. And in my mind, I was quietly saying, but who's the director? Who is the director that's not cited on this billing? Because that's the person that dictates what those actors do and what the scenery is going to be, the stage, everything. That director is the last word. Producers fund it, they're nobody. Director is everybody. We right now at a point that while I came in, my initial involvement with ALLATRA was because of environment. Geophysical, particularly, was of interest to me. I no longer have that role with the organization. I shouldn't. My role now is where do we take this because we have somebody looking at us, going after us. What do we do about that somebody? That's piqued my interest. And now, without even consciously knowing it, I've become the situation, the spearhead, the vanguard in that particular movement. And I'm proud, happy to do it. I win the luxury, the glory of meeting each of you. I don't know if you know who you are. You're educated by and large. You conduct yourselves like exceedingly civilized people. You're telling me, I'm hearing on stage about the wonderfulness of who you are and your ideal goals. No, look at your individual selves. That's what would come from your individual selves. You're the type of people who do things like that naturally. You're unique. In all respects, you should be so proud of yourselves. But now we have that conflict. And we do have to address it. There is no getting out of it. Initially, I had this view of you, climate, geophysical, volcanoes, all this stuff going on, terrific, great. Then we have the other situation, and that interfaces directly with democracy. We have a team that's acclimated to conduct themselves in an organized, civilized, professional manner. Very, on an international scale, you're up there somewhere. You're nowhere near middle. You're way above that. What is the best role you can do? What's the best contribution I can make to this outstanding team? It's very simple. Get at the front of that war, because that's not their character, but it fits into my character. And I worked with you people. I've made acquaintances, a few, not many. I have this time, and I'm very happy about that. But it now has come to our steps forward. And we've identified our mission. We're talking about democracy and climate change. Very simple, just two issues. Of course, they're the biggest in the world, but they are two issues, notwithstanding. So I am pleased to say that we have now organized ourselves in Washington, D.C. Why have I chosen Washington, D.C.? No other reason but for the economic value we get for that label. We need that label for this purpose. And there we know how to operate. We do it legally. We become a different animal, so to speak, in that climate. We've garnered respect. Now I am out to demonstrate what is this thing called ALLATRA, because they don't know what ALLATRA is. And ALLATRA, because they're so humble, they're so passive, so polite, they're not ones to go out and say, hey, You're not going to be marching in the parade. I'm not going to see a banner saying, ALLATRA, I'm marching in the parade, come and join. It's not your character, which is outstanding. But there has come a time now we have to come out of that quiet little shell and say, we are somebody. When I hear people ask me, why are they going after ALLATRA? Why are they? Who are they? They're going after you because you are somebody, not because you're nobody. Get that in your minds. You've achieved something that makes you a good target. One hit of ALLATRA resonates a lot further than something less. So really take pride in who you are, what you've got going. Now we add this other dimension, and that is called, I'm going to call it quite simply, governmental affairs. We've come up a whole level. And we now start identifying, creating, however you want to, an identity for ALLATRA on the international sphere. So we've been in touch with the US Senate, we've been in touch with the Secretary of State, this is the US, everybody. And now there are actions undertaken in the US Senate and in the House that deal with anti-cult activities. And they deal with players that interface precisely with you folks, not quietly, but precisely with you folks. So now we're getting ourselves linked into these organizations. We're not going it alone. We're now developing allies. We're now developing a force. Again, why do I want this out of the US? Not because I want it to be a US thing. I could care less about that. Because it can be organized there freely. It doesn't work over here. You have too much resistance, it would be quashed in a second. So we're going to make that our movement. We have the gift of tremendous media. Between this team right here, you can produce all sorts of products. So we can steer that piece. We have that piece which most people do not have. We have the language capacity. We have the geographic boundaries. It's a gold mine, everybody. That's how you get to Broadway. You don't get there and dream. You get there because you make strategic moves and you find the right people. We're going into 2 campaigns, as I said, democracy, protection of democracy, and getting information out about volcanoes and so forth, and climate change. Both issues are of the highest importance in the world. So you're not going to be geographically constrained. You've got an audience out there that's billions of people. And I see it in the group here. You folks are in the middle of national security dilemmas. Climate change. That's the #1 enemy we're going to have right now. Forget tomorrow. It's here today. Now we get into serious business. And you people have the talent. You really are extraordinary. And somebody's got to wake you up and say, bring this out of you. Collectively organize you, bring it out. There is no difference in climate change and democracy. Climate will bring down democracy. Misinformation, disinformation will bring down democracy. So however you want to coin it, same thing. And the same issue that I want to have it so that people become really, if this is even doable, more proud than you are now to be ALLATRA. You should be even prouder. Make room for more pride because it's within your grasp, and that's what you've got to do. Everybody in this audience is in a position to make that change right now. We're positioned to do it. We're not talking about it, we're doing it.
We thank you for your unwavering determination and for standing up for our shared values, for freedom and democracy. We are proud to stand next to you in this important mission. Now everyone can truly contribute to defending the freedom of all humanity, while the preservation of all humanity is the most important thing. It's a great honor for me to invite the president of the Creative Society Project, Olga Schmidt, to the stage.
Hello, dear friends. First, on behalf of all the participants of the Creative Society Project, I would like to express our big gratitude to the organizers of this significant event. Many thanks to the participants of the ALLATRA International Public Movement who initiated such a unifying occasion. I am delighted to see so many familiar faces and to share the joy of this long-awaited international gathering with all of you. And as you know, as participants of the Creative Society Project, we view ALLATRA as a welcoming international organization with shared goals and objectives. In the projects of the Creative Society, we rely comprehensively on the research conducted by ALLATRA scientists over many years. And we express our deep, deep gratitude to their invaluable work, which benefits all of humanity today. We also extend our thanks to the ALLATRA volunteers, whose active participation is crucial for the advancement of our scientific research initiatives. While ALLATRA and the Creative Society are distinct organizations, the spirit of altruism and creation is present among both the participants of the ALLATRA movement and the participants of the Creative Society. Now, the Creative Society is a volunteer-based, international, independent, non-political, and not religious project that aims to draw the global community's attention to the climate crisis, explore its causes, and of course, to find the solutions. In the Creative Society Project, we are united by the dream of a world where human life is of the highest value, where science serves the benefit of humanity, enhancing the quality of life for every single individual. We aspire to create a society where every person in humanity as a whole can develop in harmony with the surrounding world on a path of evolutionary progress and peaceful coexistence. Our efforts are aimed at establishing peace worldwide. We call for global collaboration to ensure that all scientific achievements serve the common goal and used exclusively for peace and prosperity, and are accessible to every single individual. This is especially important in the context of today's climate crisis. Today, we recognize that if the Creative Society model were implemented worldwide today, we would have already found a solution to the climate crisis. And I am firmly convinced that the vast majority of people on this planet today, just like all of us, dream of living in a sustainable and stable world in the Creative Society. And moreover, implementing the Creative Society Project will allow us to achieve the United Nations General Assembly's Sustainable Development Goals in the shortest possible time through peaceful and lawful means. I'm convinced that the Creative Society is the future we can achieve. However, one condition must be met. In the coming years, we need to solve the climate crisis. And this is our top priority, to have the opportunity to build the world we dream of, where science and progress serves the well-being of every person. It is crucial to first eliminate the threat that impedes this possibility. This threat is the rapidly accelerating climate and geodynamic changes on our planet. In this modern era, as we face unprecedented climate challenges, our task is to unite efforts internationally. In the coming years, we have an ambitious goal to establish an international scientific center where the leading minds of our planets will gather to address these most pressing issues. We, the participants of the Creative Society Project and ALLATRA International Public Movement, have already taken significant steps in this direction over the years of our active work by conducting social surveys, interviews, and promoting information on social media networks. However, we acknowledge that today this is not enough. And despite our efforts to inform the public, climate change, it is outpacing us. And we must seek more effective ways to communicate information to every person on planet Earth. Our task now is to reach out to those who can make global decisions. We are obligated to act immediately as our collective efforts determine our future, the future of our kids, and the future of the whole humanity. Without the active participation of each of us and coordinated and decisive action by the international community, we will not be able to overcome the climate challenges. Without us, this problem will not be solved. So let's put in an even more effort to overcome the climate crisis, to bring us closer to realizing our golden dream, a world where science and innovation serve the good of humanity.
Now, in continuation of the climate research topic, it's my great pleasure to invite the next distinguished speakers to the stage, Dr. John Ahn and Talis Krupli.
It's a great honor to be here, to be at this gathering with ALLATRA organization, with all of us who came from different parts of the world. And you know, friends, for all the years of existence of the ALLATRA, the main focus has always been climate. Recently, the conditions in the world have changed. So the progression that was presented earlier is going much faster. It's going much more rapid. And today we're going to talk why.
So our project is the result of hundreds of scientists and thousands of volunteers who have carefully studied the causes of climate change that are occurring around all of us today. This includes anthropogenic factors as well as astronomical and cyclical processes. Comprehensive scientific work has been carried out by an interdisciplinary team of scientists from different countries since 1996, and they're joined by volunteers who have helped in collecting data and processing the information. A few years ago, we warned about what would happen in the world because of the climate. In particular, we talked about what would happen in certain countries, specifically the Emirates, United States, China, and Russia. A little time has passed, and now, let's take a look at the facts and analyze what is happening in these countries now and how accurate our forecasts were.
Forecasts are coming true.
Well, I will simply now briefly say for our esteemed businessmen that I would not make long-term investments into many countries, including, for example, the United States of America, Japan and China. I simply wouldn't. I don't have anything against, and I'm not predicting anything. These are facts which cannot be erased.
USA. The US is currently experiencing the highest economic losses in the world from extreme weather events. In 2023, the country broke the record for the number of natural disasters with damage exceeding $1 billion. The frequency, scale, and anomalous nature of climate disasters continues to increase rapidly. China. In 2023, in China, the economic losses from natural disasters amounted to more than $47.7 billion. More than 1,400,000 houses were damaged, of which 209,000 were completely destroyed. Natural disasters in the country are turning into real large-scale catastrophes with extreme consequences.
China is one of the first countries most interested in implementing his model, because this country is among the first countries, just like the United Arab Emirates and some other countries, on whose territories human habitation will soon become simply impossible.
And here he is right. The Emirates, as they say, were built of sand and will vanish into sand.
Countries of the Arabian Peninsula. Residents of the Arabian Peninsula are accustomed to a dry and sunny climate, but recently, the region has been experiencing a relentless onslaught of storms with anomalous rainfall and hail. UAE. On March 9th, Dubai received nearly half of its annual rainfall norm in just 6 hours. On April 16th, a strong storm in the country led to a complete collapse in several regions. In Al Ain, Abu Dhabi, 5 times the annual rainfall norm fell within just 24 hours. This is a national record for the entire history of observations. Amman, at Marmul Airport. From April 14th onwards, rainfall over 2 days exceeded what typically falls in 8.5 years. Saudi Arabia. For several years now, Saudi Arabia has been battered by hailstorms and severe floods. However, something unprecedented has been happening recently. Since the end of March, rains did not cease for an entire week. On March 31st, in the Al-Baha province, a record-breaking 3.5 months worth of rainfall fell within just 1 day.
The first countries that will cease to exist in the next 5 to 7 years are Japan, China, India, Italy, the United Kingdom, and the countries in the Arabian Peninsula. This is due to the geological structure of these territories and their vulnerability to climate disasters. All other countries will survive a little longer, but ultimately, they will face the same fate.
India. Economic losses from floods in India have increased by more than 450 times since 1953. Italy. Residents of Italy are suffering from intensifying heat waves, droughts, catastrophic rainfall, and flooding. Additionally, seismic and volcanic activity is rapidly increasing. In the area surrounding the Campi Flegrei supervolcano, a shocking number of earthquakes are being recorded. In April alone, there were 1,252 seismic events. United Kingdom. The number of strong wind gusts in the last 10 years has increased by more than 7 times, and it continues to grow at a shocking rate. In just the first 4 months of this year alone, more than 2,200 such events were recorded. That's 3 times more than previously occurred in the entire 10 years. Russia.
The dynamic warming of Siberia today, which is 2 to 3 times faster than the rest of the world, is primarily due to an increase in endogenous heat coming from the Earth's depths. Siberia is warming from below.
Despite the intensification of catastrophic processes in the Earth's interior, under Russian territory, the situation with natural disasters in the country remained quite stable, while most countries in the world saw a rapid increase in climatic catastrophes. Intended to mitigate the effects of climate change in a certain territory, to put it mildly, and in fact, what should have happened more severely on a larger scale did not happen, but it happened anyway. I think we will get more accurate information based on real events on all the cataclysms that will happen in the next 6 to 9 months. We will get our main conclusions in about 3 or maximum 4 months. We will already know for sure, and we will see the outcome in 6 to 9 months, when all these effects will simply fade away. In accordance with the forecast, things began to change dramatically in August 2023. The Primorsky Krai was hit by floods of a scale and duration that the region's residents had never seen before. And 3 months later in autumn, destructive storms attacked vast areas of the country. By the end of 2023, a surge in the number and strength of cataclysms on the territory of Russia became evident. According to Roshai-Dramet, the number of hazardous weather events in all regions of the country increased by an average of 35%. The abnormal early warmth led to a rapid melting of the record amount of snow that fell this season. The spring floods of 2024 in Russia turned into a true catastrophe. 39 Russian regions were affected. In the Orenburg region, there has never been such a large-scale flood in the entire history of observations. In the Kurgan and Tyumen regions, the floods were the strongest in the last 100 years. What you have just seen doesn't reflect even a fraction of the number and scale of disasters occurring not only in the countries we've mentioned, but all over the world. There are so many climate catastrophes that it is simply impossible to show them all. Forecasts are coming true, and there is no reason to expect that everything will stop by itself. You cannot hide from this problem. It is our shared problem, and we must solve it together.
According to the reality that you just seen on screen, we don't have hundreds of years that many scientists were talking about. We not even have 10 years. And this is unfortunately our reality. These are the pictures and images that were taken yesterday all over the world. So in the May, in the middle of spring, all across the globe, people are seeing northern lights. They went not only in northern hemisphere, they went in southern hemisphere as far as 23rd degree latitude. In Namibia, in South Africa, in India, all over the world, it was the first solar storm in 21st century that was this powerful. It was extremely powerful, and it was not forecasted by anyone. And this is something really strange, that we just enter in the solar cycle, the activation of solar activity, but we're seeing flares that are this powerful. But what is the reason that the sky went pink all over the globe and we're seeing red auroras? It's because of the weakening of the magnetic field of planet Earth. And this graph made a lot of buzz on the internet. It's been shared on Twitter, and many people who are professionally studying ocean and temperatures, they are terrified by the gap. If you are seeing previous years, yes, the ocean temperatures were going up slowly. Little by little, ocean was getting warmer up until 2023, when we saw the orange line, a huge gap comparing to previous years. And now 2024, it already started breaking all the margins, all the previous temperature records. So friends, we understand perfectly well why this is happening, and we understand the anthropogenic factor in it. The pollution of the ocean with microplastic is allowing ocean to get much hotter than it previously could, because molecules of water, they cannot trap that much heat, but microplastic can. And today, 100% of water samples taken from ocean, doesn't matter which part of the ocean, which depth, they're polluted with micro and nanoplastics. And this is something we've been talking about for a while, and we came up with a solution. We've been talking about atmospheric water generators. If only we implement those on global scale, we would clean up the ocean.
Now, one of the concerns about this, specifically the warming of the ocean, is an increase in the number and strength of hurricanes. That is, the warmer the ocean, the more energy it can provide to create and strengthen the storms. And according to the scientists, 2024, it's going to be a very busy season with hurricanes. For example, they stated that while there are 14 named storms per year on average, this year, 2024, they expect 23. Based on another forecast shown on the graph here, in the x-axis, it shows the number of hurricanes, and the y-axis, the probability of that occurring. And while the probability of 10 hurricanes per year was less than 10% based on the average between 1950 and 2020. That's shown by the blue. For 2024, that probability of having 10 hurricanes, shown in red, is expected to be greater than 70%. Another consequence from the increase in temperature is higher probability of damaging convective storms, which are accompanied by hails and tornadoes. Here, the graph shows the number of storms in the US, which has caused more than $1 billion in damage. And this is increasing exponentially since the 1990s. Now on the screen, you can see the similar exponential growth in the number of tornadoes in Europe. You know, I live in the US where it's in an area that is close to the so-called tornado alley. In the city where I live, at least for the last 10 years, we had tornado sirens go off maybe once a year or maybe every other year. But this year, although the tornado season is barely halfway through, we had already 5. And understanding the situation, you know, I'm really scared because that tornadoes are happening in places where they have not been observed before. Given the exponential growth of natural disasters, and given the removal of this decelerating effect of natural disasters in 2023, and given the warming of the air and the oceans, imagine what awaits us in the coming years. Now, listen to what Dr. Gavin Schmidt, the director of NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies said, quote, "The huge massive records set over the past year are beyond what scientists would expect it to see," end quote. He noted that even when scientists consider the severity of volcanic eruptions, El Nino, anthropogenic emissions, among others, the numbers just didn't add up. So scientists are now talking about another factor. They call it factor X, which significantly contributes to what we're observing today with the climate anomalies. This factor X, thanks to the ALLATRA scientists who have been talking about this for almost 30 years now, is related to the changes that are occurring inside the planet. And yes, thank you for finally noticing it after all these years. The factor X is the additional heat caused by the rise of magma. This is a cyclical process which is triggered by external cosmic influence every 12,000 years. And our planet has already entered the cycle this year, 2024. Note that the rise of magma causes an increase in the number and strength of earthquakes. As shown in this graph, according to an official database, this is International Seismological Center, ISC, you can notice that the earthquakes of magnitude 5 and above have been increasing exponentially. But when this information was brought to public, people very often said that the number of earthquakes is increasing because the number of sensors have increased. But that is not true because all the earthquakes with magnitude greater than 4.5 have been recorded throughout the planet since 1974. Note that earlier, the earthquakes of magnitude 5s were quite rare. But now, we're getting used to magnitude 6s already, and soon, the earthquakes with magnitude of 7s will become common. And we understand that at this stage, when the earthquakes, like the ones that devastated Turkey last year, becomes more frequent, our quiet, our just everyday life will end. And there will be only 2 steps left to the finale, to the devastating earthquakes of magnitude 9s, when we will constantly be living in fear for our survival. I'm certain that some probably want to ask, is there any hope that everything will just go away on its own? Are there any improvements? Are there any signs? Unfortunately, the answer is no. There are no such trends towards the decrease in earthquakes or any other natural disasters, as we have seen today. And in fact, because we're in the very beginning of the 12,000-year cycle and nothing is being done currently, the number and strength of natural disasters will only grow faster and faster. Are we really ready for this? Is at least one person here or anywhere in the world, in his or her sanity, ready for this? Of course not. The future depends on people's choice, but most importantly, on our actions. Being proactive and informing others. Because you and I know the real situation. We know about the real progression and projections of natural disasters, but most people have no idea why and what is happening with the climate right now. The evidence is available in the public, and it was not us who drew in these figures and various indicators. They're, again, from various open sources. It just happens that nobody combined and analyzed them comprehensively.
not only that we explain what is the true anthropogenic factor and how much humanity damaged our oceans and how much it contributes to the very same CO2 emissions. If we're talking about CO2 emissions and we in depth take a look how much microplastic in the ocean traps heat, it heats up the ocean more, and as a result, the ocean keeps giving more and more CO2 in the atmosphere. And that CO2, the carbon dioxide emitted by the ocean after the human contributions of microplastic into it, it exceeds the very same CO2 that is emitted by our factories, by the cars we drive, and so on. We still have enough time to actually do something about it. So it's not a prophecy of doom and gloom, it's a forecast with a solution. And we talked about this solution a lot, and we talked about the very first steps that we can take, all of us, to actually start cleaning up the ocean from microplastic. That will do a lot. That will clean up the air, that will normalize the cycle of evaporation of water and precipitation. That will help us a lot to do the first step. And you know, that's one of the things that nobody can deny, because it's in UN goals of sustainability. We have to provide water for everyone. Here it is. Here is the solution: atmospheric water generators. And we have a film, again, prepared by the volunteers, by heroes of the ALLATRA and Creative Society project. And we're going to watch it right now. I believe it's going to give you in-depth understanding how important it is. But I think I'm not gonna spoil too much of it. Let's just deep dive into this short clip, and then we'll continue.
I see a huge danger looming over the entire planet. What's about to happen in the near future will be a matter of life and death, not just for humanity, but for you personally, my dear friend. In this video address, I want to warn everyone who can hear and tell them how they can save their lives.
By the most conservative estimates, over 40% of the world's population will be living in regions facing water scarcity by 2030. In major cities, water will be rationed, and its quality will steadily deteriorate. Epidemics will resurge, bringing back medieval diseases. The water crisis will lead to food shortages, triggering large-scale population migrations. Governments will collapse like houses of cards. Regions with water resources will close off within borders unrelated to national boundaries. Microplastic pollution has affected the entire planet. The entire depth of the ocean is literally permeated with microplastics. It has been found in every sample of ocean water. Microplastics in the environment are increasing, but no effective measures are being taken to remove them.
Due to its specific composition, microplastics have a unique property. They disrupt the ocean's heat conductivity. So, the cause of the disruption of the ocean's function is the anthropogenic factor, and more specifically, it is the plastic that we have created, and now it is everywhere in the ocean. And instead of removing heat, the ocean has become like a thick blanket for our planet. And the planet is exactly what needs to be cooled.
Ocean warming, the atmosphere also heats up. The warmer the air, the more moisture it can hold. Moisture evaporates and remains trapped in the atmosphere for a long time. This is the reason for the simultaneous increase in extreme droughts and floods worldwide. It is precisely the warm ocean and the moist, warm atmosphere that increase the destructive power of hurricanes. With the current trend of ocean warming, there will soon be no safe places left on Earth. Droughts, floods, and hurricanes in the coming years have the potential to make life on the planet unbearable.
So, the Earth's interior is heated from the core more intensely due to anthropogenic factors. The heating of the core is caused by external cosmic influence, to which the planet is exposed every 12,000 years. The increasing intensity of hurricanes, rainfall, and droughts is just the beginning. The Earth will start experiencing direct exposure to cosmic rays by the end of 2024. If the situation with the ocean does not improve, disasters will wipe out all life from the face of the Earth. You have only a few years left before reaching the point of no return. And now, the main thing. You have the opportunity to stop the disasters and prevent the planet's demise. The implementation of atmospheric water generators will buy time.
At the moment, there's two methods really of obtaining water from the air. One is through the use of a medium, so like a mesh or a desiccant, and the other one is basically lowering the temperature of the air to the dew point so that the water naturally condenses.
The technology there can create water anywhere because the technology is used in such a way it creates heating and cooling creates condensation.
The way the machine is designed, the air that comes into the machine is filtered to start with. Then the moisture is condensed out of the moisture that's in the air. So the only thing that the machine is seeking is the H2O molecule, which is smaller than a piece of microplastic.
It will have some environmental impact, a positive impact, because when we process ambient air, we filter it from dirty stuff as well.
We agree. It is a big thing when you are using atmospheric water generator in each home.
And this is what we should be looking to doing. And it is clean, right? And it is available everywhere to everyone. And so I think suddenly the world has woken up to this alternate source.
Along with evaporation, micro and nanoplastics rise from the surface. Atmospheric water generators filter the water and remove all impurities from it. With mass usage, atmospheric water generators become an artificial filter integrated into the water cycle on the planet. After a few years of active use of atmospheric water generators, the ocean and atmosphere will be significantly cleaner. The ocean will once again begin to release heat into the atmosphere, and from there, it will dissipate into space. This will mitigate the destructive effects of disasters. Additionally, with intense evaporation, the ocean cools down. It works the same way as a household refrigerator. Widespread adoption of atmospheric water generators will cool the atmosphere and make it less humid. As a result, the strength of hurricanes and storms will decrease, and the amount of extreme precipitation will be reduced. This will save millions of lives and prevent multi-billion-dollar losses.
Can really buy the time scientists need to stop climate disasters and save the Earth for future generations. This is a global project, one of the key puzzle pieces in saving the world.
Imagine actually if we implemented and already tried to take all the water for our needs, for private needs, for agriculture, to take it from the atmosphere instead of traditional bodies of water, we would reach this 6 out of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals right away, including providing water and sanitation for everyone. We need to reach out to good people, to politicians, to journalists, to everyone who can hear us, and pass this data, and not be afraid to talk to people. Reach out to everyone, and eventually, the victory will be ours.
Thank you. For now, we largely see single natural disaster events, but recently, they have started to become synchronized. Synchronization means that there are multiple natural disasters occurring simultaneously. Moreover, these events are now becoming more frequent and much stronger. To truly study the synchronization of natural disasters, we need to collect, compile, and analyze a large set of data. Yet today, different countries and agencies do not share information and collaborate with each other. We understand that some are driven by money, while others are trying to smooth over the severity of the situation and avoid a panic. But how can you smooth them out if the disasters are destroying homes, wiping out cities, and impacting millions of people already? This is a real issue that must be resolved responsibly by the officials at the national and international level. The top officials should take appropriate measures immediately and not simply kick a can down the road. But unfortunately, they do not fully understand the severity and urgency of the current situation. We're fully aware that those who understand and speak the truth today are ignored and smeared, just like our participants. But in a few years, the so-called climate Cerberus will impact billions of people and cost billions of dollars, or trillions of dollars. And at a certain point, everybody will understand that, unfortunately, we were right. The point is to address the climate problem now because soon it will be too late. And as Dr. Chalakian mentioned in one of the videos, we must create conditions such that the capable scientists can openly collaborate, and this is only possible when there's permanent peace between countries. This is the only way. Otherwise, these scientists would be restricted from sharing or working openly in certain topics for the sake of national security, and the climate issue will not be resolved. Note that the solution that we're proposing today is not adapting to natural disasters, but the survival of all of us, all of humanity. So who else but us, ALLATRA participants and Creative Society volunteers, who else will take decisive actions on this? We're very fortunate because we've gained this knowledge through the dedicated work of our scientists, who have helped many of us to understand and consequently to act. And look at our contribution in terms of gathering information, monitoring, disseminating through various platforms, and look how much progress we've made together. We undertook a tremendous amount of work without seeking praise or compensation. We've done it for ourselves, for our families, for each other, and for the humanity. Unfortunately, all we have received so far is gratitude from those anti-cult organizations and their supporters. But thanks to Dr. Chalakian and his team's investigation, we now understand who stands behind them and their motivation. Thank you everyone for attending today's conference, and we would like to thank especially those, despite the pressure from these anti-cult organizations, who have exercised critical thinking, understood the essence and persevered, and are still with us. But today, there are also those, as a result of persecution, who could not come today, even though we would really love to see them today. We understand that they're facing great difficulties, but we hope that everything will be resolved and the truth will prevail in the future, in the end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, friends.
Friends, thank you for being together on this wonderful day in May. Thanks to everyone who has come, and thanks to all our dear friends who are with us online. Dear friends, you are an embodiment of the best moral qualities and a true example of freedom and democracy. Thank you for your sincerity, dedication, and endless fortitude with which you work every day for the future of each person of the planet. Thank you for holding the ALLATRA flag. You are the light of all humankind and its hope for a safe and wonderful future. Today, when the whole world is at the crossroads, remember that it depends on each and every one of us how soon the time of truth and light will come. Thank you, dear friends.
ALLATRA is the shield for human life on Earth, because at the moment, it's the only organization or the only movement that is constantly working to get the message out that we are at risk, that we have solutions,
For me, creative society is a society where creatively, commonly, we are, as humans, trying to find a solution to save our planet. And the idea with the creative society movement is to unite scientific potential. So take scientists from different fields and do cross-scientific research.
For me, it is the society where all the foundations of a creative society will be truly fulfilled. Namely, the life of every human is the most important thing.
When I first heard about the Creative Society project in 2020, I was one of the skeptics and thought it was too good to be true. Yes, I did question everything, and therefore, I can only advise everyone not to believe anything blindly, but to thoroughly research and analyze whether what we talk about is true. And that's exactly what delighted me later. Because I began to act and feel. I began to feel that people who take part in the project do not just talk about it. They actually live by it every day and every minute. They live by exactly what they try to convey to people. And this is what really motivates me.
Because selfless volunteers, people who care about the future of the whole world, not just their own country, have gathered here. That is why they all united, they understood. We will succeed in implementing the project of the whole humankind, and this is really important.
I could not stay away from this event because it's very important, and I have 3 children. This is the youngest one. And I know that the future of these children depends on us, and I feel that this is my responsibility and the responsibility of each parent.
I came here to gain knowledge of what is really going on, based on real scientific facts, so as to be able to pass this information on to other people, to educate them that no, these events aren't natural and they are not going to disappear on their own.
In Slovenia, we had a tornado, we had floods that devastated practically 1/3 of the country. We had red auroras even today, last evening. There was a huge red auroras in the Slovenia. So these are things that never happened before.
I used to live in Ecuador, in a place where there are many climate refugees. Last year, there was a severe flood there, when about 1,000 people lost their homes. Therefore, I'm very interested in taking responsibility for the climate.
I've noticed that a lot of people don't want to talk about climate. Their attitude is like, I'm fed up. I don't want to hear about it. And many people don't even delve into the issue because mass media present a certain picture. What worries me is how many anomalous natural disasters we have, and how clear this trend that we already observe is.
Of course, we need to address this worldwide in order for everyone to start taking action right away, to raise awareness of the fact that climate disasters are growing every day. And what I do personally, I post every day in social media videos of what events took place all over the world in one day. It's so important for people to see the real picture of climate disasters, so we would actually wake up and start to do something about it as humanity.
It's very important for everyone to know the truth, the real truth about the climate, about what is happening, and pass it on to all people. Because many people who have suffered in climate disasters say they got into trouble because they didn't know what was happening, and nobody warned them. That's why we must warn everyone.
Well, it's important because it involves all the people of the world. So we must pay attention and focus on this issue so we can all survive to the catastrophe that is coming.
I think people can save the world. There is a way to save the world. But of course, we need to unite humanity because in such a world as it is now, where everything and everyone is divided, nothing can be done. However, if people unite, we will be able to establish a unified global scientific center. We have a good chances of saving the world.